Modern horror isn't always as strong as the classics, but you can still find something worth watching. This video features 9 horror movies from the last 5 years that flew under the radar. No big studio hits here, just overlooked, original, and sometimes downright disturbing stories. This French-Canadian horror film keeps the violence off screen, but the unease is constant. Kelly Ann, a fashion model living in isolation, becomes obsessed with the trial of a man accused of murdering 3 teenage girls in so-called red rooms, dark web live streams. Every morning, she queues outside the Montreal courthouse to watch the trial unfold from the gallery. As the film progresses, her fixation deepens. She befriends another courtroom regular, a chatty true crime groupie, but stays emotionally distant. At home, she speaks only to her virtual assistant and spends her nights crushing strangers in online poker, revealing a cold, predatory side. There are no flashbacks, no scenes of the crimes, just courtroom testimony and Kellyanne's increasingly disturbing reactions. Juliette Gariepi plays her with eerie restraint, and the camera lingers on her face as if trying to read what's really going on beneath the surface. Red Rooms blends courtroom drama with psychological horror, channeling the unease of early Cronenberg or Refn. It's slow, quiet, and deeply uncomfortable. And that's exactly the point. Margaret seems to have her life under control, until her abusive ex reappears after 20 years of silence. From that moment, everything starts to unravel. Played with intensity by Rebecca Hall, Margaret is pulled back into a cycle of fear and emotional manipulation, while Tim Roth brings a chilling calm to the role of her tormentor. The horror here isn't about ghosts or killers, but about control, trauma, and the long shadows of abuse. The story stays grounded until the final act, when it takes an unexpected turn into body horror. Graphic, surreal, and hard to shake. This Thai-South Korean horror film is shot in a mockumentary style and follows Nim, a village shaman believed to host a protective spirit passed down through generations. When her teenage niece starts acting strangely, Nim assumes the spirit is preparing to move on, but the signs suggest something else is at work. The medium blends fiery rituals, night vision footage, and disturbing possession scenes. It may feel a bit long, but the performances and the finale make it worth the time. This horror film mixes science fiction with dreamlike, unsettling imagery. It follows Sarah, a teenager who joins a sleep study and begins experiencing disturbing nightmares that seem more real with each passing day. The researchers watch closely, but offer no real answers. The film builds a strong sense of unease with its washed-out visuals, minimalist setting, and eerie atmosphere. Julia Sarah Stone gives a quiet but powerful performance that holds the story together. The romantic subplot feels unnecessary and slightly out of place, but it's part of the package. Come True isn't focused on scares, it's more about mood, discomfort, and the strange logic of dreams. The ending is polarizing, but the journey there is consistently absorbing. A low-budget Spanish horror film focuses on a couple who've just had a baby. Jesus, the new father, buys a cheap-looking glass coffee table from a smooth-talking salesman. It's missing a screw, but he decides to set it up anyway while his wife steps out. What happens next is sudden, brutal, and completely grounded in reality. Most of the film takes place inside their apartment, where Jesus tries to maintain a sense of normalcy after a tragic accident, while clearly unraveling. There's no supernatural horror here, just unbearable tension and quiet panic in an ordinary setting. The coffee table is uncomfortable by design. It's tightly written, well acted, and incredibly hard to watch. Not a film you'll revisit, but one that stays with you. This Argentinian horror offers a brutal and unpredictable take on the possession genre. It starts with 2 brothers in a rural town discovering a man infected by a demonic presence. The local authorities won't help, the church is powerless, and soon the evil begins to spread. Unlike most exorcism films, when evil lurks skips the slow build-up and goes straight into chaos. The violence is sudden, shocking, and often plays out in daylight, which only makes it more disturbing. The film doesn't follow traditional horror rules and keeps the viewer off balance from beginning to end. Despite strong reviews, it made less than $1 million at the box office. But after hitting streaming, it gained some attention. You might have even heard of it or seen it already. Either way, it's worth your time. If spiders make you uncomfortable, this one won't help. Infested follows Caleb, a loner who buys an exotic spider as a pet, only for it to escape, reproduce, and turn his apartment building into a crawling nightmare. Most of the film takes place inside the building, where no one is safe. Tight hallways, locked doors, and hidden air vents make sure the tension never lets up. The pacing is steady, and the scares rely less on jump cuts and more on knowing there's always something nearby, just out of view. Infested delivers exactly what the title promises. It's small in scale, but effective. Simple setup, strong execution, and very bad news for arachnophobes. This 2025 release is best described as the substance set inside a Brothers Grimm fairy tale. Grotesque, intimate, and focused on the extremes of physical transformation. A dark reimagining of Cinderella, it tells the story from the perspective of Elvira, the so-called ugly stepsister. Directed by Emily Blichfeldt, the film leans into body horror but stays grounded in character. Beneath the disturbing imagery is a sharp look at beauty, pressure, and how women are often forced to compete with each other. Leah Myron gives a standout performance in a role that's both vulnerable and quietly terrifying. If you're into body horror, The Ugly Stepsister is worth a look. This Tubi original is a bloody rural horror that leans into cannibal tropes with confidence. The story follows two families, one from the city, one from the countryside, as they collide in a violent backwoods nightmare. The setup feels familiar, but the twist about who's doing the killing adds just enough to keep it interesting. There's not much new to say about city versus country dynamics, but the film makes up for it with gruesome effects, a surprisingly dark sense of humor, and solid performances. Lowlifes isn't trying to reinvent the genre, but for something released on Tubi, it looks good and delivers exactly what it promises: bloody, trashy fun